Let's get it. This is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and a Mike, where we hope to inform, inspire, and transform lives, one essential ingredient at a time. Welcome to the show. Here we go again, listeners, and my Pasho is back. He's back, baby. He's been in Vegas, winning all kind of money, having fun. It's so good seeing him. I miss him when he's not on the show with me. So welcome back, Pasho. First of all,
thank you. Good to be back. I missed it. And unfortunately, I left all my money in Vegas.
But he had a good time. Michael's already shaking his head like that big dummy. What is he doing, leaving all of his money there? But he did the best he could, Michael. He did the best he could. And
you don't gamble for money. You gamble for the fun. If you start gambling for money, it's a job. You know, you have to enjoy gambling, you know?
Yeah, but he is a professional. Mike likes to play him some hold'em, and he's pretty good, and he's got some really good insight with cards. But let's get into this show. And listeners, if you aren't tuning in to YouTube, you can't see the color coordination that we have going on today. And off air, we were just talking about how it was dumb luck. But Michael, our guest, is coming in looking sharp, wearing the C4 colors. My Pasho is repping a C4 shirt, and I got a C4 hat. And those of you that maybe are tuning in for the first time of listening to Life's Essential Ingredients, you might be thinking, what the heck is this guy talking about, C4? Well, it's C4 Leaders, and that's the name of our nonprofit. And we're the only nonprofit to utilize the pizza making process to create space for our companions to be seen, heard, and loved. We also write children's books, host this podcast, and use the most amazing handmade, hand-tossed sourdough pizza. That's right. I said sourdough to bring out the best in each other. So please check out pizzadays.org to support our important work. Let's get into this episode because we are in for a treat. We are season 3, episode 16. Michaell Magrutsche is coming from Laguna Beach, California, one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And he will definitely inform, inspire, and transform lives today. And the best place to find him is just via his website, which is Michaell with 2 L's M.com. I'm going to spell it out, MichaellM.com. So about our guest, Michaell is an author, podcaster, speaker, creativity awareness educator, and a neurodiverse artist. Michaell is a self-taught individual who feels strongly that creativity saved his life. Michaell never felt like he fit in, whether it was his dyslexia or dysgraphia or systems put in place that did not line up with the direction he was going. Michaell created his own path. Now the author of 5 books, a successful podcaster, and living a life he feels allows him to be and create his best self. Michaell, thanks for the important work you do, for continuing to create and share your gifts, and most importantly, for being a guest on Life's Essential Ingredients. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys, Mike and Jeff, for giving me the canvas to paint. I appreciate it. And basically, I'm living in Laguna Beach, but I was born in Austria, Vienna.
Okay. How long have you been in Laguna Beach?
I've been in America since I was about 22.
Okay.
And then I lived in New York. I lived in Westwood. I lived in Newport Beach. And then I came initially to Laguna, then did a roundabout in America, and then settled again in Laguna Beach currently. But it can change tomorrow. It can, everything can change every time. And my life is like, because I'm neurodiverse, I don't fit in. I need to take where I can fit in. So if somebody in Russia says, hey, we need you, I go to Russia, or somebody, in Europe, I go there. So, I go where the wind blows, I
love it. And I love that flexibility. I love you finding your way and finding a way to bring your best self and all your gifts and talents to wherever it's needed. So I have a quote for you, and the pressure is on me, and I can tell you're a guy that's going to tell me the truth, but we're season 3, episode 16. We're 100% on these quotes that I picked for the guests of somehow resonating with them or their expertise And so here it is. It's by R.D. Laing. It's a little bit confusing, so I'm going to read a little slow. The range of what we think and do is limited by what we fail to notice. And because we fail to notice that we fail to notice, there's little we can do to change until we notice how failing to notice shapes our thoughts and deeds. Why would I pick that one for you, Michael?
Oh, I understand. I'm totally because it's about consciousness, and it's not about knowledge. Knowledge is very short. It's very limited. It's very system culture centric, and it's all about the awareness. It's about experiential knowledge. That's what it is, and that you only get, and you become aware, and you're not missing the points when you experience stuff, when you do a podcast, when you create a podcast, or actually participate in a podcast or whatever. I can read a million books about podcasting and couldn't tell you the experiential knowledge, what he said. By the way, is Artie Lang the guy that was on Howard Stern show?
No.
I don't think so. No. I was saying, oh my God, that is deep for Artie.
Yeah, no, but I love your thoughts on it. And it's going to be a great show, and it's going to be interesting. I think Mike and I and our listeners are really going to take a lot of insight from you. You can take this first question any which way you like. I mean, it's very broad, but I like the listeners to kind of get an idea. And you shared a little bit, but what was life like growing up for you?
I was sadly, I was a sick child, and I grew up and went to school, and in school I couldn't do anything with it. So meaning I couldn't regurgitate. I understood the history and all the stuff, the stories and stuff, but I couldn't regurgitate it. I couldn't remember numbers. When I read everything differently. And at 40 years ago or something, they said, "Hey, sorry, you're dyslexic." That's it. And that was about the thing. But no matter what you are, you still have to read in front of the class. You still have to, pass the tests and just. So why are you telling me I'm dyslexic? So what make me feel better? And so I had to repeat 3 grades, and I had a real tough time. And I did all the systemic, what you're supposed to do, right? Head against the wall, just keep going, do what you need to do, work hard, till I was 55. And it was, when I got there, I had 2 enlightenments. One was 30 that I realized I'm an artist because nothing else made me survive. And creating art was one way where I felt like valuable. I felt like I'm a part of it. Like a lot of people, I look at all the adolescents. How many lives did art save because they saw a movie, heard a song, saw a painting or whatever? That's, I think art is completely undervalued in that. It's just, art is about the product and how the market sees the product. And if you create something and you don't even think you are an artist and it sells, you're an artist all of a sudden, right? So it's deemed, the society, the system tells you are an artist and then appreciates it, and then you make money with it. But the real value is in the creation, because I have 0 education, because I had to repeat 3 grades. And I learned everything from art creation and from the art community. Because the art community, it's about the product. It's about not the product, how much it sells, but the appearance together. So a symphony orchestra, it doesn't matter if you have the number 1 conductor, if you have the number 1 performance place, if you have the number 1 violinist, if the oboist doesn't do the right, stuff, or if the light doesn't go on, if the curtain doesn't open, the whole thing is over. And in the sea level of systems, humans are like a cog in a wheel. There's not a togetherness. And you just, hey, this guy doesn't do his job. This manager, let's just replace him. The guy doesn't put the iPhone rightly together. Let's just replace him. And the CEO doesn't even know, the C-level doesn't even know the situation why he did the wrong sum. Was he really a bad phone technician, or was the experience that he had that he couldn't do it? He didn't have enough light, for example, because we worked in the freaking basement. So, that's it's just so human. When you look at a human way to look at any problem, and you solve and you understand the human brain, which fits with your phrase, and you solve the human issue, the systemic issue usually is solved. You know exactly what to do in the system because the system is more limited, but you can compartmentalize the limitness of that system once you know the truth about the human issue.
Getting deep on us right now, and I love it. And that's I wouldn't say similar, but I will use that word to the work that we're trying to do with pizza, which I do look at our work as an art and science. But I want to get back to I want to share another quote with you. When you kept talking about the product, I was going to disagree with you, and then you gave me clarity to what you meant. It wasn't necessarily a product of a materialistic thing. It was a product of, hey, here's who I am, and here's what I created that is my art, that is who I am. And there's this great quote that I want to share. You probably heard it before, but I think it's really going to resonate with you. And I thought about picking this one for you, but I just had to pull it up. But it's from a painter, Robert Henri. Mm-hmm. Here's what it says. The object of painting a picture is not to make a picture. However unreasonable this may sound, the picture, if a picture results, is a byproduct and may be useful, valuable, interesting as a sign of what has passed. The object, which is the back of every true work of art, is the attainment of a state of being, a high state of functioning, a more than ordinary moment of existence. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's totally easy. So what I think is, when you create is, we are creator animals. We are a species of nature, and we are the highest evolved species, because to be a creator animal, you need to be self-aware. An elephant doesn't need to be self-aware. He's just an elephant. He knows what he does. It's all in his DNA. He's just just like a machine. And the ant too. And they do their job to keep nature in balance. And when, as a human animal, as a creator animal, you need to be self-aware, because when you have 15 4x4s and you create a house or a box, you need to be aware what you did, so another one can increase that. It's constantly expanding the universe. So another human or you can do another house in a different way and say, oh, I can save some time here or whatever. What happens when you create, and what he means is that the process of the journey, spiritual people say the journey, but art is such a blueprint for what's possible humanly, and it always has the answer. So when you create something, you have so for example, I'm standing in front of a white canvas, and I say, okay, what do I feel right now? Oh, I feel like pink. And you paint the canvas pink, or paint this pink circle. So you basically interconnect with your non-physical self. Excuse me. Excuse me. With your non-physical self, and now I have a frog. You interact with your non-physical self. And what happens is you get, I'm going to put green in there, or I'm going to put blue in to put it with a pink. And all of a sudden, you think about, okay, blue and pink, and for you, it doesn't resonate. So basically, you have a conversation with your non-physical self. And whatever comes out of this conversation is the art product or the podcast or the house or whatever you create. And I'm so sorry about this. I didn't eat anything, but I just got a frog. And what happens is when why he says the painting is, it's not the painting, it's not the product. The product is a side product. It's the symptom of my conversation. Your podcast is a symptom of your conversation with your non-physical or Mike's non-physical, and then you all align to each other and balance, because that's nature. You always balance and to harmonize. And then you create a podcast, and then you create a house, and you create a painting. And in that process of communicating, you grow. Because I can say, your podcast, Jeff, is the worst podcast ever. Or I could say, your podcast is the best ever. But I cannot validate or devaluate the fact that you did it. And it is in the process of creation where you learned the most. And also that what I can't take away from you. I can judge it and say, you're a horrible person, you're a great person, or whatever. But I can't take away that you did it. And we're living today in a society where it's about the end product. It's about the award. It's about the viewership. It's what nobody gives anything about the achievement. I don't care if you didn't get an Oscar, but if you're an awesome actor that touches me all the time, that's what counts. Not if you got 15 Oscars. And how many people that have all the awards don't mean anything to you? So for everything there's a counterpart. And that's why creation is so powerful. And that's why my whole podcast and my last book, The Smart of Art, is about separating the two, because 99% of artists are poor worldwide. And that's why I wrote the book. I said, why we're poor is because we focusing on the outcome. And when you focus on the outcome, you miss the moment. You miss the wisdom that is in the creation of creating a podcast, creating a piece of art, creating a house. If that makes sense.
It does a lot. I'm trying to digest, because you're really going pretty deep on us. And I want to go back, because you said some key things that you were enlightened when you were 30, and then another time in your life. And then how, and these are my words, and I apologize if they come across too harsh, but that society, with your differing ability, pushed you to the margins because you couldn't get your numbers and your words correct. And that made you play small, so to say, until you were enlightened. And then in you gaining your enlightenment, I think that's your mission now, from researching you and just listening to you now, is to try and share with people that if they can just create and just be, and back to that quote from Robert Henry, that nobody can disvalidate your creation, and it really doesn't matter how they judge you, as long as you keep creating. And my question to you is, what insight, in the simplest, way that you could give it, would you give to a listener who is back in this space that maybe perhaps doesn't have dysgraphia or dyslexia, but feels that they're harshly judged for so many things that are going on in their life, and they've lost their self-confidence, they've lost their ability to create, they're missing some life's essential ingredients, and they're just out there tuning into this episode, be like, man, I'm hoping Michaell can give me a word or two that can help me get inspired to unleash and reignite my creativity.
Yeah, I can give one great thing that actually, this is what actually enlightened me when I was 55. I looked at it from we said we are creative animals, right? We are always creating. Even if we do a play setting, your wife does a different play setting than you do, or your aunt or your grandmother. And those are creative decisions. Everything we do as humans are creative decisions. And it's a thing of perception. When the system that we are in, we're born in a hospital, we are baptized, is another system. We go to school, another system. We get a job, another system. We get married, it's another system. When we misunderstand our habitat, because nobody says I'm a child of systems, but also nobody says I'm a species of nature. I say that, but very few people even feel that. They feel like, no, there's animals, there's us, and there's systems. No, we are part of nature. And when you can compartmentalize, very simply, it's a perspective. In nature, you exist, and your existence is that you're worthy, because nature doesn't make mistakes. So in nature, you are worthy because you exist. Otherwise, nature doesn't make mistake. It wouldn't just create you. It'd say, oh, sorry, I have 1,000 elephants too many. I need to kill them. That doesn't happen in nature. So because the system that we created in which we're living in all those systems, which, by the way, we need to have systems, obviously. I'm not saying, don't have systems to be a rebel. No, we need systems, but we have been so conditioned ourselves to live in them that we have lost our initial meaning of life, which means our existence is the proof that we are valuable. It doesn't matter if we are handicapped or dyslexic or anything. And our life is here to unveil that uniqueness that we are, because we have 8 billion people that have different fingerprints, different eyes, and different DNA. And we are DNA driven to be together, inclusive, but system driven to get apart, because there's classification. You are a man, you're a white man, all these classification. Do you think in nature, other than procreating, that a zebra cares if there's a female zebra or there's not? It cares about, oh my God, the giraffe has a different look than me. Nobody cares. It's systemically created. And everybody that thinks he's not worthy or whatever, think about this. Your gender, your race, your sexuality, your income, where you come from, it's all classified. It's all made into keywords. So basically, we are running around with a lot of hashtags. Basically, that's what we do. And then we say, so somebody isn't seeing another person with another race and another gender, saying, oh my God, this is a human. No, we think, oh, this is a black woman, this is a, and blah, blah. And so because we have learned through system to navigate ourselves through those hashtags that we put on people. But that's only in the system. So when you pull yourself out of it and look at it from a human perspective, nature is a great exemplary on how to be, because it's sustainable. It is always the same. So I love animal videos just to learn. Say, I'm an animal. So how do they do it? How do they fight? How do they solve conflicts? In leadership, very important. How do they, a wolf is, it's not a leader. In system, a leader is, you want to be a leader because then you can do what you want, and you don't have to do the stuff that you don't want. That's why you want to be a leader in systems. And you also get a lot of money. And it gives you a false sense of power. In nature, the wolf gets always challenged, the leader. It's not a fun job. It gets constantly challenged. And the wolf is not the strongest. It's just the one that everybody listens to, the one that keeps everything in balance. So when I talk about leaders, I talk a person that can, keep a team in balance and is a part of team, and his function in the team is not being better, but being the guy that keeps everybody in check. It's the one that does the nature the best. he brings harmony, balance, and harmony in a team. And and we know that now systemically, that when you yell at people, when you put people down, when you make hierarchical choices, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. You got to find what is the strongest of Jeff, what is the strongest of Mike, and place them in their position and help them discover themselves more, and then balance the whole thing. How can I use Mike and Jeff together with me, in the middle? So that's my.
I love what you're saying, and I agree with everything that you were sharing, and I think the world would be a better place if we somehow were to be able to take some of our systems that have been in place since our existence as a country and kind of get us back into nature, in your words. And I'm not going to get into how do you do that, but I think that's, hopefully we get people like you, hopefully, nonprofits like C4 Leaders that are trying to use pizza to get people into that same space. We can try and do our little part to create a world that's worth living in, and I know, part in researching you talk about superpowers, that people have. Tell the listeners about that and how they can develop their superpower.
So to make systems human relevant, I said, number one is like because right now we humans are adapting to systems to keep them static and working. So in order to create that, to use the systems like we intended to do, to get Social Security, to do all that stuff, we created systems that are good. The initial idea of every system is good. So to do that, you need to get in touch. Number one, look at for sample or how nature resolves it. Then there's three superpowers. First, I said already, we are creator animal, and that's why we are self-aware. Not to be self-aware to cheat other people or do whatever. We are self-aware to create, not to get power, not to make wars. That's a complete annihilation of being human. Is war. It's meaning total resentment to being lower than any animal. If you resort to war, you are lower than any animal, because you're saying all the diplomatic efforts didn't work. You say, I cannot discuss it, even though I'm given with the second superpower, human healthy dialogue that we have right now here. That's why podcasts are so rewarding, which is the success feeling of humanity. Is your thing of fulfillment. If you get a fulfillment, we all do podcasts. It's not a money machine. It's to have a fulfilling experience. That's why we all do podcasts. Otherwise, everybody would be a millionaire that is a podcast, So we're doing this because it's not systemic. It's not news that are systemically put together. It's humans just talking to another human. And that's a superpower, because the wisdom that you and I gain from just this talk, you can't get in a newsflash. It's just very shallow. And then the third one is adapt. You and I could not talk if we don't adapt to each other. I let you talk, you let me talk. Mike is listening. And Mike doesn't have to say anything. See, in a human conversation, that he just creates the space. It's because I've done, I think over 200 interviews since last March. And what happens is, if the guy's there, it makes a big difference, because he's just the space, because between words is also space. So that is, often we don't shift by the words, but by the spaces of the words. Because obviously language is also a system, and we connect and discuss and communicate and adapt to each other in our six senses. I say six senses because the sixth sense is the resonance. It's the awareness of resonance. So you use your hearing, eye, taste, smell, all that stuff to adapt. And then there's the sixth sense where you feel the resonance. There's probably more, but right now I leave it with that.
I love that. I'm going to jump right to the end, the sixth sense. I love, I'm trying to capture in the stuff that we're doing, and I call it a multi-sensory experience.
Yeah.
When people are working with us and experiencing what we do, because it's just so much deeper and beyond. And I love how you use that word resonance. And so I just want to kind of go back over real quick. The superpowers that all people have are the ability to be self-aware, the ability to engage in dialogue back and forth and find fulfillment in that, and then the ability to adapt to each other, to find a way to, hopefully again live our best life. And in doing that, kind of brings out each person's kind of superpower, or in my case, I would say secret sauce. That everybody has it, but how can we create this space? And I love, again, the words that you're using, and Mike does that so well. He's a great listener, and he'll chime in, but sometimes he's just going to sit back and just listen and create the space for the guests to feel welcome, to be able to share. So yeah, thank you so much for that, Michaell. Let's get in. The show is called Life's Essential Ingredients, and let's go like on the daily right now. Obviously you're highly creative and tap into that every day. What ingredients do you have in your life that puts you in a position to be able to tap into that creativity kind of superpower that you have? And I'm specifically talking about kind of maybe a routine, something that you do that a listener can take into and say, hey man, Michaell is doing this and that works really well for him. Well, that's him, but maybe I can edit it my way to work for me. I don't know if I'm asking you the question in a clear way or not, but
no, you do. I would say, Jeff, that makes no sense. Just
go
over and tell me that again. No. And I need to say, you said self-aware. The self-awareness, the first superpower is creativity, because nothing in this world, New York, whatever, wouldn't be what it is. Nike, Google we are all creative. So a business person that says, very mostly successful business person say, I'm all business, because they want to hook into their success. And I say, you wouldn't be successful if we weren't an artist in creating businesses. So what was the question real quick? The last one. I just wanted to clarify that for your listeners. That's the first superpower is creativity.
Yeah. I was asking about your life's essential ingredients.
Oh, I got it. The hot sauce is being in a moment, being present, not being in a mind construct. Your whole body, we talked about the six senses, right? Mm-hmm. Your whole body is intelligence. It's not just your brain. The more emotional intelligence is in the stomach, in the abdominal area, and to get into the moment that's why podcast is so great, because you don't know what you're getting and you have to be present here. You can't think, I'm gonna have to pick up my wife, have to do the kids, have to pay the bills or whatever. You have to be 100% here, to have this conversation. And when you are here, number one, I'm the one that fulfills you, that makes you fulfilled. You are making me more of me, because you're part of me. And so you're a reflection of me. And so that alone makes you feel better and more fulfilled. And then you have to pay attention to each other, which is in system respect, but it's not in human. It's just being connected with that person and having a dialogue. Try to communicate with that person, collaborate with that person. And when you do that, and when you don't have another across you and give him full attention, then when you're alone, breathe, just breathe any way you want. You feel what's the right breathing. People say, you need to do this breathing or that breathing. No, just focus on your breath, having the air coming in and getting the air out. That's it. Just observe. Not do it right. Do it right is systemic. Just observe your breath coming in and out. And then see when your mind goes out, and then see, bring back your mind, when I need to do this. Because all the things that you do are mind constructs. Whatever doesn't happen now isn't real. I mean, you have experienced it, but when 10 people see the same accident, everybody sees it different. So it's not real. What is real is right now, you and me and Mike. So when you're in the future, who can predict the future? Tell me the person that if we were, there would be one person that made all the money predicting the future. No, you can't. You can't predict. You can say this is 100% this is going to work. And it still cannot work. Look at sports, look at anything else, politics, anything. Nobody can predict. It's a mind construct that happens in the moment when it happens. And to put any thought in this, for example, politics, how much systemic talk about the past and the future, nothing is about the now. A waste of time and energy for all humans. Because that's what politics have become. It's basically mind discussions about what potentially could happen in the future, what has happened that we can take from the past into the future, which that doesn't work, And so and what do you wrong? It's right against wrong. It's systemic, which is the opposite of human discourse. This is powerful, you and I. Any politician, I can point out everything. And I'm a political advisor. So, and it's just crazy. We gotta be in the moment and what is, and you look what is, not what's gonna happen in the future. Not, let's say a town doesn't have a vision. A vision, you don't create what you create in the future. A vision you create to explain, verbalize who you are. The vision comes out of that. It's not like, I want to be the greatest pizza, let's say pizza. I want to be the greatest pizza. It's irrelevant what you want and what you want. It's like, how can I make the best pizza now? Everything else happens in concession, depending on how many people are involved or whatever. And we lie to each other and say, yes, that's how you make the pizza the best pizza in the world. No, it's not. It's what you have now. Because somebody else can also think about a pizza. And how the law is when they discover pharmaceuticals or whatever. They even haven't talked to each. They don't have that same research. And they both invent the same drug on different continents. It's just, we know all these things, but we don't use it because we want to believe the system hype that we tell ourselves. There's nobody to blame. See, right away, how can we change? No, just be aware first, then it will change automatically. And you will also be convinced, you and Mike, with this talk, that you're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, no, I love it. Again, you're just going deep and deeper and deeper. This is going to be definitely a show to listen back through because you say so many things that make a lot of sense, but that are, I wouldn't say difficult to digest, but just you need space to sit and process. But I want to get into, briefly into your book. So you've written 5. And
the 6. The 6 is almost done. It's coming out, okay. Which is exactly what we talk about: systems and human-centric. Are you living a human-centric or a system-centric life?
Okay. Maybe just share briefly about any of the books, and maybe let the listeners know where they can they get it on your website?
Yeah. Okay. You get it's all on Amazon too. Okay. So the first of all, I need to also enlighten people. See, I was pushed out of I could not be in the system, so I'm completely not system. I'm really an out-of-the-box thinker. So, but I also discovered, because I couldn't just take a patterning and follow that, I had to make up my own mind. So for me, I wrote books because I'm dyslexic. And I wrote books because I want to understand something. So my first book is a screenplay because I worked in the film industry. I worked with Robert Evans, who did The Godfather and Chinatown and Love Story. And I lived in his house. So I want to see if I can write a screenplay. And I wrote a screenplay. And actually he wanted to do it. It was in pre-production, but then he passed. So anyway, so then the second book was, I made 300 paintings in 3 days. So I wanted to see what happens. I want to see if I run out of creativity. So for me, I'm writing to become who I am, to learn. But I wasn't aware of that. I just did it. You know, how we do when we're young, we just take it day by day. We don't think about the consequences. And for me, the consequences were good for self-awareness, you know, by the creation of that. The third one was about hanging. I was Arts Commissioner of Newport Beach, and I saw so many and there was a time I went to a lot of galleries and museums, and I saw so many weird things, that art wasn't placed right, the lighting wasn't right. So I wrote a book about that, how to place public art. Mm. And then I wrote a German book, and then I wrote my last one, The Smart of Art, which actually made me, I didn't know where it's going to go. I wrote it because I wanted to know why the hell does it happen that 97 to 99% of artists worldwide, so it's not like in America the artists are rich and in Europe they're poor, all over the world are existing around the poverty level, everywhere. They just make it. And I dove deep to it, and I found two things. Like I told you, it's not about the product, if that sells or not, and is art or not. It's about the process. And the other one is, it's about when humans have experienced what you and I experience right now, to be in the moment, to be fulfilled, to have that human interconnection, that they can't go back in a systemic life where they don't have that, where they have humans that are very systemic. They adhere to they adapted to their culture, and artists they understand from learning, creating art, that it's not about that. The best art comes in 15 minutes. The best art comes when it wants. And art doesn't want anything other than being created and exposed.
Mm. Yeah, I understand. And I think it's a shame. And I need to do better in supporting, local artists. It's just your mind. You're always, and I'll just speak for myself, trying to get the best deal possible instead of taking a step back and saying, let me just support this person in what they've created, and in them sharing their superpower, their secret sauce, their gift. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to segue a little bit, and then we're going to jump to the end. My youngest daughter, Aaliyah, lives in Spain. Mm-hmm. And I'm just getting to know the culture a little bit. I've only been there a few times, but we had dinner with one of her friends who has lived her whole life in Spain, and it's in southern Spain. And she lives in Cadiz, which is right on the ocean. And she just said, hey, I'm not interested in making a lot of money. I don't need fancy clothes. I don't need a car because they have, public transportation. I want this culture. I want this lifestyle that allows me to celebrate and enjoy life with my friends. And in Spain, you don't need a whole bunch of money to do that, and I'm guessing, just in listening to you talking about artists and how you wrote your book, and unfortunately how they don't make, the money that they deserve. But I'm guessing hopefully they feel the same fulfillment that this young lady was describing to me, because she's choosing her way. She has her self-awareness that these are the moments that I want to capture, and how I want to live my life. And I don't need all these other things that are just going to get in the way of that. So I don't know.
How can you see? The thing is, the hooligan syndrome. It's like there's an accountant that sits in a football match in England, and the hooligans come and hit everybody, all of a sudden he's getting pulled into that energy, and you see him hitting it with a beer bottle somebody over the head. He looks at the video afterwards and says, I can't believe that's me, because I'm totally anti-violence. I'm not being angry again. My wife is okay. Everything is okay. Because it takes you, it's like, what is the resonance that we have? And you get pulled into, when the Western world, where it's all about systems, system relevance, system values, so the system didn't have a value for me. That probably now it has a value, but then, when I was young, it didn't have a value for me. This guy can't read, really? I mean, I wrote 5 books or 6 books, and I have the computer read it to me because I can't read the book. I use technology to help me. So, and then the younger generations, they have seen us working ourselves to cripples. And then once we are cripples, we go retire. And then the retirement is not fun either. And they say, what have you shown me as a boomer or whatever that I would want to think? And that's why this is perfect. Your daughter has the wisdom, because she doesn't even know if she's going to survive in this pollution and whatever, in this systemic, nature will always survive, but she doesn't know. So why should she? What should be the incentive other than experience the moment, being with friends, celebrating life? What should be? Why do you have to have a job to survive? Because that's what it came to, because our parents, they worked probably harder physical, but they didn't have to work to survive. They had savings, they had a 2 garage, and a house, and they were fine. But today, everything is systematically so into extreme and so amplified, and AI will amplify it even more. And people cannot be, they are human doings with the help of AI. So now instead of getting 100 emails a day, you get 400 emails that look more like a human wrote it, to get your attention, that you then say, I get AI to sort out those emails. It's like it's just the insanity. That's why I say the simplest one step is compartmentalize what is human-centric with nature and what is system-centric, and just use the system to, do your life. But no, you are one of 8 billion, not you are like 8 billion. That's the system way. You're one of 8, you can be exchanged. In nature, because you exist, that's why you're valuable. That's the proof. You are one of a kind of 8 billion. Now, does that look different about your self-worth value? Right away. If you just the wording, just the wording from you are one of 8 billion, or you are one individual of 8 billion people. I mean, if you just, these 2 things, you're just like, I am special. I'm special being me. I'm belonging to this group, but I'm one of one in this whole world, unless you're, a biological twin, and those are different too, that. So this is so easy. I mean, it doesn't, even though you say this is a deep podcast, it is, but the solutions are usually always simple. But you have to go the way to get in and out. You have to expand and contract. You write 40 pages and then you make 10 pages out of it,
I know. And I love it. And I know my Paso, you got him all fired up. He had a comment for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Michael, just, this is all incredibly interesting. But if you can go back right now and tell your younger self some words of inspiration or something to go by that would make their time going through what you said, you weren't part of the system, to make it easier, or any kid nowadays or any young person or any age, what's like that one thing that you think might help them get to where their superpowers can be shown?
What I just said, it's you're not one of 8 billion. You're unique, one of a kind of 8 billion of the things. So you're one of a kind of 8 billion people. So of this group, you're one of a kind. You're not like them. You are only in the thing, because people are so different. You know that, Mike. People are so different. You meet this person and that person, and with everybody you have a different dance. And that shows you our superpower of adaptation, because we are built to communicate with every one of those 8 billion people. If it's good or not, that's secondary. But we are built with our 5 senses to interact. We don't need an app. And art, for example, is the language that God or nature has given us. To, if you draw a little, stick figure, they understand it on the whole world. They understand that. If you make a song on the whole world, they appreciate it or feel something and connect with that. Who you? That's why I say art creation, and that's why we create animals. We have all the tools, but we submit it to our own creation, and that's the problem. You submit, you create something, and then you submit to it. It's like an artist makes a vase and then says, I need to ask the vase, what is my next art project? You can't do that. You are the creator. It's like God coming down, and I'm not religious, but it's like God coming down and say, okay, let's see what we can do together. No, he can't learn from humans because he created us. So, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I would say to myself. I said, you're one of it. It doesn't matter how sick you are, what deformities you have, how smart you are. You need to find out what is your uniqueness, your puzzle piece, and that you fit into humanity. What is that? That's what life is, uncovering what you already are. You are that for since a child, and you need to uncover it. What is that uniqueness that I have, that I create a puzzle piece that fits into humanity, not into systems, because systems are very limited. But once you know the humanity, you're aware enough to find the systems to fit in. So, for example, me, I didn't know so many people want to talk to me. I didn't know that. It just came in, and I found it, and now being a podcast guest, and I can't be a podcast host, even though I have a podcast that is 30 seconds. I cannot be a podcast host because it's too much for my neurodiversity. I cannot. It takes me probably, and it takes a long time doing an episode, that, but it's probably 10 times as long. I mean, I make a 30-second podcast and it takes me hours and hours to do that.
Well, man, Michael, we sure appreciate everything that you've shared so far on the show. And again, we're talking to Michaell Magrutsche coming from Laguna Beach. Find him at Michaell with 2 L's m.com. And again, he's got 5 books. Number 6 is coming out. We're just about at the end of the show here, and it's been incredible. But we always end the show with our legacy question. And it's a great quote from John Alston, which says, the only thing you take with you when you're gone is what you leave behind. And you're a young man. Let's give you another 40 years of living. You're on your deathbed. You're surrounded by the people that have been instrumental in helping you share your creativity. You're getting ready to take your last breath. What is it that you want to leave behind with all the people that have been in your life?
Awareness, because I am what I preach. The awareness that I preach. The seeding. I am a seeder and a map maker. And in humanity, I'm a seeder and a map maker. So I plant seeds that sprout in people. But I also live that thing. I'm not taking a religion and do this or whatever. I live that what I preach. So, I'm not a millionaire. So that's not what I preach. But I'm a fulfilled human that wakes up in the morning and goes happy to bed at night. That doesn't mean I don't feel bad or ambiguous, but, I'm fulfilled. And Jeffrey, if you have more questions, we can do this. We can do a part 2 if you want. It's no problem. Just get in touch with me and we do it.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Pasho, get us out of here.
Wow. And Michael, one of the reasons I'm usually quiet is because I'm listening and learning, and I'm taking it all in. And obviously, amongst the three of us, I am not the smartest one in the room by any means. So I absorb it all. And thank you for all that knowledge. And you made it so it sounds simple. And that's how I know you really know what you're talking about, because even I understood it. And thank you for that. Keep up your great work. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, listeners, it's been another episode. Again, we've been on with Michaell Magrutsche from Laguna Beach, California. Find him at michaellm.com. Check out his site, check out his books. He's doing great things, sharing his gift. And boom, baby, that just happened. We're out.